The following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. It's game time. This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
DG, how about you tell the world about this new drink you just rolled in with? Because it looks pretty good. Right up my alley.
Sparkling, the sparkling ice drinks you get from the big box store. Kind of tall, skinny. They got different flavors. Starburst Cherry. And it's pretty dang good.
I was talking to, what was this, a couple of weeks ago when K-State football had its first media gathering with the transfers. And also with Matt Wells. And Easton Kilty, offensive lineman, big boy, comes in out of North Dakota. He's a Wisconsin kid, so they got them big boys up there that drink their milk. And I asked him, I was like, what's your favorite candy? And he goes, Starburst. I was like, now, around here, we party pretty hard with Starburst. Yeah. As in, do you up there, like, you take your favorite flavor, you got 4 in a package, right? Take all 4 out of the package and eat them all at the same time. Do you go that hard? You go, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a thing.
That's how I imagine that drink.
Oh,
it's just a blast.
It's a blast.
Of your favorite flavor 4 at a time.
So good. Not a fan of, I'm a fan of room temperature Starbursts. Like when they're easy to eat. When they get a little hard, dude.
They're not fun.
It's like a rock.
Yeah.
I hate them, dude.
Always. It's like. It's vending machine Starburst and Skittles. Always a bit of a challenge for your teeth.
Ooh, ouch. I'm liking it, man. It's like they get old in there. Like quick. But store Starburst.
I've actually kind of been on a kick on sour gummy worms.
Ooh. Now
I really like those right now.
You get Trolleys?
Yeah. I think that's the brand. I just kind of go into one of these stores and buy the $1 package. Oh, also Sour Patch Kids.
Oh, yeah. The classic.
Sour Patch Kids are great.
The classic.
Welcome to The Game. Mitch Fortner alongside Troy Coverdale. David G. and AJ Shaw is on our board today. He's also in control of the phones. 785-537-1350 if you want to call in. Bring up a comment, ask a question. I'm leaving after hour number 1. We have Manhattan High Hoops on air tonight. It is the regular season finale, and it is also senior night at the MHS Gym as Manhattan will host Centennial League foe Topeka Hayden, a 3A. Their girls team is number 2 in 3A. Boys are just ended a 12-game skid this past Friday to Topeka High. With, as always, pregame coverage starts at approximately 5:45 with tip-off 15 minutes after, so 6 o'clock. But it's approximate because it depends on the JV game beforehand. Also, I don't know if you've heard, but we're now in week 2 of BriggsAuto.com Passport to Cabo. We are giving away an all-expense-paid trip to Cabo San Lucas. Features a 2-bedroom beachfront condo at Villa La Valencia, a flight for 2 for free out of Manhattan Regional Airport. This week, to sign up to get registered, head over to Parker Hannafin on Hayes Drive. And coming up on Friday between 11 a.m. and noon, we'll be drawing for 10 brand new finalists. Also brought to you by Manhattan Wrecker and Impressions Body Sculpting and Wellness.
It'll be me out there.
You're out there going to draw the finalists?
P&H. If you have an issue with something I've said, or you got some beef with me, bring it, man. Why don't you come down to Parker Hannafin and sign up, and
check out what they got going on and get signed up.
They're hiring right now. They're not afraid to give you some cash. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I heard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking of you in target practice right now. I mean, but I've been targeted before with a bottle.
I'm just scared that I'm going to have somebody come down and bring up all the things that I've said wrong on this show. They're going to have like a notebook, and I'm going to have to answer for all of it.
And I've wondered about this, I don't know how often you get recognized, but you do have a famous segment called Ask a K-Rocker. You bring those questions to us here on the game for a little Ask Us Anything at the end of shows. Do people come up to you and like give you recommendations on questions?
All the time. And we do effed up headlines too.
Yeah.
610, 710, 810. And people give me, hey, talk about this story all the time. And another one they do is, you were talking about something the other day, and they're like, I can't remember quite what it was. And they expect me to remember it. I'm like, dude, I do 6 effed up headlines every day, 5 times a week. I don't remember them. The minute I read them, I'm done with them.
What's on tomorrow's K-Rock Morning Show?
Tomorrow's K-Rock Morning Show, 610, 710, 810 effed up headlines. We got Florida Man. We got people slapping their grandpas.
Okay.
We got people trying to beat up animals, and then guess what? The tables get turned on them. And 7:30 Ask a K-Rocker, plus you'll have to tune in to find out what in the heck's going on.
Well, in this hour, you already are tuned into hour 1 of the game. At 4:40 will be a new Jabroni of the week. We'll get to some K-State hoops here in just a little bit as well, but we want to open up with some breaking news. This actually broke about an hour and a half ago, and it has to do with the shooting that took place at the end of the Chiefs Parade in downtown Kansas City from Union Station. I'm sure we all know the story by now. Well, this comes out this afternoon that Missouri prosecutors say that 2 adults have been charged with murder in last week's shooting. That was a week ago tomorrow. Killed 1 person, injured 22 others. Again, near the end of the Chiefs Super Bowl parade, really the celebration portion of the parade, the pep rally portion of the parade. Dominic Miller and Lindell Mays are both charged with second-degree murder, 2 counts of armed criminal action, and unlawful use of a weapon. They have been hospitalized since the shooting. Jackson County prosecutor Gene Peters Baker said during a news conference they are each being held on a $1 million bond.
Good.
The new charges come after 2 juveniles were detained last week on gun-related and resisting arrest charges. Authorities said more charges are possible with those 2.
Just absolutely frustrating that, again, it comes down to guys getting fired up about whatever offense that they felt that had taken place and deciding that a gun's the way to settle it.
And then I know there's so many rumors flying, but I heard that it was just people getting in a altercation, turning around and running, and then shooting behind them. That's
wouldn't be a surprise at all.
I mean, that is.
There is a video out there of.
Oh, there is.
It actually, I believe, unfolding. Like, there is a video. I haven't watched it.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Right.
But apparently it's out there.
Oh, I don't really.
So
I don't know.
I don't have the courage. That kind of stuff is obviously pretty hard to watch. The 22 people injured range in age from 8 to 47. And that's according to Kansas City, Missouri Police Chief Stacey Graves. The men did not know each other before the shooting, according to the prosecutors. They were among several people arguing when Mays, who was the second name I mentioned, pulled his handgun first, almost immediately. And several others did the same, said Peters Baker. Police said it was Miller's gun that fired the shot that killed Lisa Lopez Galvin, a mother of 2, and she was known in Kansas City as the host of Taste of Tejano. I feel like this is going to be used to make an example.
Mm-hmm.
This is now the 3rd time, and I believe the last calendar year, where there has been some sort of gun violence or some sort of gun incident that has taken place at a championship celebration where there are hundreds of thousands of people around, and those lives were not taken into consideration on when these horrible decisions were made in a split second. The other 2 incidents were there was an incident at the Texas Rangers celebration, And just recently, the last NBA Finals champion, the Denver Nuggets, also had a little bit of a situation. Nobody was killed in those two spats, but there was some sort of gun incident that took place. But now a person has been killed, and 21 other people have been injured, some fighting for their lives. A lot of them were children, and I think that's the big thing here. How many children's lives? I mean, every life is important, right?
Absolutely.
But how many children were injured in this whole thing? So, I mean, this is an opportunity for prosecutors and the court system. And again, innocent until proven guilty. Totally understand that. But if there is the evidence to prove that these people are guilty of these crimes, I think this is an opportunity to make an example of this current situation. But also, I wouldn't be surprised moving on if the Chiefs continue to win, or whoever else will now consider an option of maybe having these celebrations in a stadium where people have to get screened and checked, or maybe need a ticket before getting in, and it won't be as many people.
The flaw with that remains that no matter how much you try to secure it, and I go back to this comment, we talked about it the day of, but I thought it was just such a dead-on point. It doesn't matter how hard you make a situation, you're going to have the soft that also is with it. Even if you hold something in the stadium, that doesn't stop anybody from getting offended at something someone else does and pulling out that gun out in the parking lot. There's still going to be space for them to do something, no matter how you look at it. And it's just frustrating because it gets down to that mindset of having to carry because you think that it makes you big, or that it is some added protection. And I understand there are those who I get their concerns and their thoughts that you have to have it to be protected at all times. You have to be protected at all times. And a friend of mine has always used the line that a well-armed populace is a polite populace. That ain't true. I think we find that out every time that one of these incidents comes up, that it ain't true. And it frustrates me. But it is a mindset that is out there that, more guns are good because the good guys are going to take down the bad guys with the guns.
There were also good guys that worked for the Kansas City Chiefs from coaches to players to personnel that are good guys. And there have been so many stories now coming out about those individuals trying to calm children and help connect children back to their families and, do their part in trying to get the scene under control. And they became regular people at that point. And I don't know if we even shared it on the show, but Taylor Swift giving $100,000 to the shooting victim's family. I mean, what an incredible gesture from the pop star that is, of course, now linked to the Kansas City Chiefs with dating Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
I mean,
he matched that as well.
Did he? I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. That's a pretty big deal.
Well, and he and Patrick Mahomes were under some heat because that same day they decided to have a party.
Right.
And I didn't like that look. I personally didn't like that look because, they're obviously pretty big deals and they feel comfortable enough to have a party the same night this all takes place. Did not like that look. Taylor Swift has one of the biggest hearts you can imagine. Mm-hmm. You may not like her music, but she's one of the most caring people when it comes to her status and how she helps people and what she decides to do with her money. One of the most generous people you'll find in the world. Mm-hmm. And so that was really awesome seeing. I'm glad Travis Kelce decided to contribute as well. I don't remember what the original goal was to help out that family. By far surpassed it. Let's take a break. And like I've said last week, whenever we find out more details about this, we'll be sure to share with you those latest details, but we need to take a break, and when we come back, let's get into K-State hoops. K-State played at Texas last night. That was an ugly game. More on that loss to the Longhorns when we come back. Thank you, AJ, for that game sports update. Mitch, Troy, Dave, and AJ. Phone number 785-537-1350. I'm leaving after this first hour. The boys will take over for hour number 2. We'll talk some K-State hoops here in just a moment. We do have the Batcats tonight from Tempe, Arizona, facing the Arizona State Sun Devils for a midweek Tuesday night action. 7 o'clock for pregame, 7:30 for the first pitch. Owen Borma will get the start. He's typically your Friday guy, but Pete Hughes decided to pitch him just 3 innings on Friday. Also, I mean, Tyson Abers could have come into 2 games, Saturday, Sunday, and closed the game. He only came in on that Sunday game. So, I take that just as a couple of signs of Pete Hughes really wants to win these midweek games that he scheduled, like this Arizona State game, who was the first team left out of last year's NCAA tournament. K-State was the second team left out of last year's NCAA tournament. This is the chips on shoulders game.
Let's go.
That K-State wants to win for sure, and Borman's going to get the start. I don't know how long he's going to go because I'm sure he's also scheduled potentially, I don't know, for this Friday when the Cats have their home opener against Holy Cross. And Tyson Abers, may be asked to go a couple of innings in tonight's game. So we'll see how that plays out. Again, online only at newsradiokman.com, beginning at 7 o'clock with Brian Smoller on the broadcast. Last game of the 4 to open up the season in Arizona. Meanwhile, K-State hoops last night falls to Texas 62-56. And what I thought was an ugly game for both teams. Both teams didn't really play a great game of basketball, really on the offensive side. And I did think Texas got away with a little bit more when it came to contact down low. I'm not sure how you get a game that's reffed by both Doug Sermons and Jerry Pollard. I don't get it. I don't understand how that happens, but it happened. Mm-hmm. A lot of ways to tackle this one about how ugly it was, and I think Texas played ugly enough to keep K-State in it. I really do. K-State, I thought, played fine defensively. They played fine. They were good. They got after Texas defensively, did not want to give up the easy shots. I mean, Max Asmus his goal that game individually was to get to 3,000 career points, and he did. It took him a while. He took a couple of shots and is this guy trying to be Caitlin Clark?
Heat check
to break a record. A couple of those shots did not look like if anybody else shot him, if K-State, anybody other than Tyler Perry shot a shot like that, you'd be like, what in the hell are you doing?
You're out. Sit on the end of the bench.
But he got there, and Asmus, he only finished with 8 points, 3 of 10 from the field. He was 0 of 5 from 3. K-State won the 3-point line.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think that was going to happen. And I mentioned in Mitch Palm, I'm like, this might be the make-or-break thing about K-State's game against Texas. Texas can hit the threes. They're also going to leave you open to shoot them yourself. Let's make them. K-State was 5 of 19. Texas was 3 of 19. But the Cats struggled at 2-point range, just at 40.5%. Layups were missed. Mid-range jumpers, they just did not exist. Last night for K-State, Cam Carter can't find his mid-range game anymore. Just some of the turnovers, there is a lack of value in the basketball. Decision-making hasn't been sharp. I don't want to just start naming names here and just blame them specifically. But there's really only one player in Big 12 play that has done an excellent job of taking care of the basketball, and that's David Gasson. And especially the last couple of games, I've actually been very pleased with David's play. I think he has shown almost the most consistency on the team on both ends of the floor. Anybody want to take a guess how many turnovers David Gasson has in Big 12 play? And we're talking, they've played 13 games, 13 of their 18. How many turnovers does David Gasson have in Big 12 play?
7.
5.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
5.
Wow.
And when he got the ball, he actually was moving around, trying to do something, get somebody open, draw maybe an extra defender. I really appreciated Gason's effort, and he finished with 12 points. He's 5 of 8 from the field. I believe over the last 3 games, he is 16 of 19 from the field. I think David is playing some pretty good basketball right now, which is actually a good sign of life because K-State is lacking in the talent department. And it's showing in Big 12 play, obviously, because the Cats have lost 7 of their last 8. They have the fight in them. I think that's clear. They don't want to lose. They're scratching and clawing at the end of the games. They do get themselves down, but they stay in it. They muddy things up. They stay in it. They do just enough to do that, but they can't get over the hump. In the last 8 games, their only win is against KU at home in an overtime game. I don't really also put any of this on Tyler Perry. I can't. Because even though he's not hitting threes, he hasn't all season been consistent at hitting threes. He has adjusted his game. Mm-hmm. He has been more of what I've been calling a ground and pound technique of he is going to get to the hoop, and you got to do everything you can to stop him. What we've seen him grow in that area is what he's doing is he's now getting to the hoop, and he's getting some really tough layups to go. Wasn't as smooth against Texas, but man, has he put in these last 3 or 4 games, put away some really tough shots, and he's also getting to the free throw line. Last night, he didn't last night, but he has been getting to the free throw line. The other night, he had, 10 for 10 from the free throw line, so I can't really put it on him. Arthur's been up and down, and Cam Carter, I mean, I can see it in his face that this is really eating him up because he was asked to improve his game, be more of a selfish player and be more of a scorer. He has embraced that so well. He has been scoring. He's averaging 15 points a game. But 3 or 4 of these last 6 games, it's been real tough for him to score. It's more the negatives are showing than the positives. But what really, truly doesn't help is that outside of TP, Arthur Kaluma, Cam Carter, there are just not enough respected scorers. There is not enough offensive talent to have a really respected 5 on the floor.
Something that we have talked about earlier on, and it continues to be the trend, is the moment that Perry receives a pass, you're looking at a double team on him, especially if he's out on the perimeter. Defenses are able to do that because there's a feeling that you only have that 3 guys really at any point on the floor that are scorers. There's that belief that they can put that second defender on Tyler Perry because it's not going to hurt them because there's not that 5th player, if you will, on the floor that is going to take a shot that's going to go. So it makes it just that much easier to defend against someone who shoots well.
Joel Colbert's a great shot blocker. He can be a rim protector. He grabbed a couple of he grabbed one tough rebound. I thought it was a tough rebound last night. But he only played 6.5 minutes. He started the game. Mm-hmm. He started the game and only played 6.5 minutes and it didn't score. You can't afford that. Will McNair has, the guy has had some real ups and downs. Like, when he's on, he can be really good. When he's not on, struggles. And I've seen it really on the defensive side of giving up second chance points, giving up offensive rebounds. That wasn't a major issue last night. 10-8 in favor of Texas, but also second chance points was a 2-point favor by Texas. Really wasn't a big issue. K-State did a good job of trying to match that, and I think for the most part they did. And Day-Day Ames and R.J. Jones, R.J. played 5 minutes last night. Day-Day started, played 25 minutes. He only scored 2 points. There's just too much on the shoulders. There is too much workload for Arthur, Tyler, and Cam, where you probably need them to play 40 minutes so you can win a game, but you can't play them for 40 minutes. That's just not how this thing works.
Mm-hmm. Since this break started, I want to commend you personally,
Me?
you, for finding silver linings in where you can, and being positive and saying nice things. I feel like making myself watch this team is psychotic because it's not fun. These guys, they're not. I don't want to go there, but right now this is not a fun team to watch, and they don't do. I heard them talking about pregame yesterday. First shot defense, where like K-State's one of the best in the country at the first shot defense, but it's where they get in trouble with second opportunities and stuff. And I'm just thinking that is like we are really digging to look for like really good things to say. I commend you, dude. You are finding positive things to say.
I don't think I've been too positive in this segment.
I'd be like, this is the most negative you've ever been. And you're being very nice. You are taking the high road here, and I'm going to shut up because I don't know how much longer I can just not. This team handed off to Troy. He's got a lot better things to say and more articulate things to say. This team, not fun to watch.
No, and it's a great point that you bring up. What it is, though, is a very good defensive team, and you do have to give them credit for the fact that they have not given up on that defense. For all of the offensive struggles that this team has fought through, you're not seeing it play out on the defensive end of the floor. The only time that they have not been in a Big 12 game was Houston. Every other game they have been in because of their defense. That is part of... You have to tip your cap not just to the players because they've bought in, but the coaching staff is keeping guys focused on the defensive end of the floor as well. They're just not a good offensive team. There's not enough horsepower there offensively, and we got spoiled last year.
Yes, and it's so funny you say that because it's like Iowa football.
Yes.
I want that. Because K-State has been able to make teams like this isn't the first ugly game they've played. There have been a handful of super ugly basketball games. I'm just waiting for it to be an ugly game that turns out in favor of the Cats. You know what I'm saying? Like they're still able to muck things up, but the other team is still able to hit a couple shots here and there, put together some runs on them that like the game turns and you go, man. I'm just waiting for the other team. I want a 3-0 victory. If we got to get 3 or 6-0 victories, like in Iowa, I'm fine with it. But let's get some wins here, man.
Well, it's just this team is so funny because playing Oral Roberts and playing North Alabama, teams you went to overtime with, and you found out ways to win that game. Baylor, they found out to win the game in overtime. KU, they beat in overtime.
Still.
On the road is still tough, and that's the Big 12 this year where you go on the road and it's pretty tough to win those games. But I mean, North Alabama is 13-14 this year. Baylor is one of the top teams in the conference, yet you still beat them. It's like, I know this team has it in them.
Right.
I know it's in there somewhere, and that's where I get the silver lining because they've done it before. Even though it took overtime to get there, they still were able to beat a Baylor team.
They were.
A KU team that doesn't really have a bench.
Right.
They kind of figured it out, and now it's just a long string of not finding a way to win a game.
Right.
I think that's what it boils down to. They've played now 7 of the last 8 losing games where they didn't find a way to win the game.
But
they were in it.
You can't put yourself in a spot where you have to make a run at the end. And too many times they've been in that spot.
That's a great point.
Last night was prime example of it, going on a 10-2 run over the final 3.5 minutes,
right.
Roughly.
There is a major lack of offense right now when it comes to three-point shooting. Over the last 3 games, K-State just 12 of 57 for 21%.
Oh, my God.
Over the last 3 games, every team over the last 3 games in NCAA Division I basketball, K-State is the 8th worst team in the nation shooting to 3. And you're playing in the toughest conference in America. That's still pretty rough. Cam Carter, last 3 games from 3 is just 21%. He has had 4 straight games with 4 turnovers. Cam's got to find a way to turn things around. Arthur last night took a big step. He hit a couple of threes. Now it's Cam's turn to try to turn things around. And we didn't even get to, Day-Day Ames and his flagrant 2 foul with 3 minutes and 21 seconds to go. I agree with Tang where he wasn't trying to hurt the guy. Hold on a second. I have it right here. Weaver wasn't trying to hurt him. I think that was a sign of frustration. And it's not just his frustration, it's the team's frustration.
Still a
flagrant 2 foul.
Still a better foul than to throw a forearm to the chin of an opponent right at midcourt.
Oh.
UCLA, Utah the other night.
Or, Ames, Iowa.
When Dorian Finister gets smacked.
Yeah. And it's a no call.
It's like this team, they need to go out together and, let it loose. There's got to be – they've got to break this. And I know that they are putting more pressure on themselves than any fan could ever. You know what I mean? They want to win these games worse than anybody does.
Yeah, we can imagine the pressure.
Yes.
The stress that they're all under. Because just read the body language. Look at TP and he threw a bad lob last night at the end of the game. The turnover towards the end of the game, this team is lacking cohesiveness right now.
It is,
and you can see it adding up.
It's too bad, and that's what keeps me from totally going in because it's unfair. They don't want to lose these games like this. They want to go out and ball, and they're used to that. There's guys on this team that are used to going out and just lighting it up, man. And it's just not for whatever reason it hasn't clicked yet. And you're right. There's got to be somebody off the bench that comes in and can provide a spark and start scoring some points.
I don't think it's going to happen.
No,
I can almost guarantee it's not going to happen. Not this late in the season. You're not going to fix all this mess this late in the season. This team just, I hate to say it, but this team just doesn't have dudes.
No.
They don't have enough.
No, they don't.
They don't have enough to be an NCAA tournament team. And, unfortunately, there is no silver lining for me in this area because I think it's quite obvious now, and I'm maybe late to the game, but this is not an NCAA tournament team. This is an NIT team at best.
Mason brought it up the other day, last week. After the NCAA does their pickings, it's the next top 2.
Right.
K-State, if they played today, are they the 11th place team, or are they 12th in the Big 12?
Well, I mean, right now, K-State's a day 1 Big 12 tournament team, so you're looking at 11 through 14.
I mean, they're in danger of missing the NIT. I mean, this is.
I don't. That's maybe.
Because if they are 11th, right, it'd be because they're going to get 9 in. The Big 12 will probably get 9 teams in, and then it'll be the next 2. If they're 12th or worse. I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, even an NIT, that will be they will be very fortunate to finish out and get in the NIT.
Well, and one more quick thought. I mean, I think it's pretty easy to tell now that just the excitement of this year's team has gone away. The last home game K-State just had against TCU, the student showing wasn't very good. I think it was maybe half of the student section. It was just more filled in by maybe either late arriving students or those that bought GA tickets, filled in that empty space. But I could tell it just wasn't a great student showing. And then, let's be real, were you excited to watch last night's game? I wasn't because I didn't feel like K-State had a good shot of winning. Now they were close. They had a chance, but just didn't get it done. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, Jabroni of the Week.
Uh-oh.
It's coming up next.
Know your role and shut your mouth. You jabroni. You jabronis hit the jackpot.
That Hollywood blonde jabroni, Hulk Hogan.
Ow. Is this jabroni's name?
Jabroni of the Week.
Maybe an extra dishonorable mention. We were just talking about it off air, but rivalry game last night, Virginia Tech.
Oof.
What an absolute blowout that was. And Virginia's the way better team. And they got smoked. I'm trying to quickly figure out the final score. 75-41. A 15-11 Virginia Tech team beat a 20-7 Virginia team. Good Lord, by 34 points.
They didn't get to 16 until the second half.
Whew.
First time I paid any attention to it was someone tweeting out, "This is a bad night."
All right, here we go. Real Jabroni of the Week time. 3 dishonorable mentions. Jabroni of the Week will be last. My first dishonorable mention will go to Sacramento State baseball player Matt something. It's Italian. A lot of syllables, a lot of vowels in there. But we'll just call him Matt. Sacramento State opened up their season with the series against Loyola Marymount.
Those guys?
Yeah.
How is this guy a jabroni to you? I'm curious.
Well, did you hear the story about this?
Yeah, that he was hit
game?
seven times.
Well, there you go. There's my dishonorable mention. He was hit by a pitch 7 times in his first 8 plate appearances.
This is David Eckstein.
And it was all one game.
Dang, dude. Quit crowding the plate.
Bill Madlock, Anthony Rizzo, Don Baylor. I was going to say Don Baylor, and then those were guys that got hit by pitches a ton.
Man, 7 times in one game.
And then turned around and got plunked in his first plate appearance in the nightcap of the doubleheader too.
Don't say.
You know, out of those 7 times he was hit, he did get 1 RBI.
Yes, hit with the bases. How's he a jabroni though? How does he file?
I mean, he took a beating.
Yeah, he did.
Sounds like a jabroni to me.
Oh,
And by the way,
he didn't rush the mound one time.
they also lost the game, so there's that too.
This guy, man, I would have been out there fighting. Robin Ventura style.
I've got to pull up the recording because I think my guy Will was on the call.
Oh,
yeah.
My second dishonorable mention goes to the Steinberg Wellness Center in Long Island, New York. Long Island University was hosting Fairleigh Dickinson for a basketball game on the men's side. Well, where Long Island, Brooklyn plays, you have to take an elevator to get up to the court.
wow.
I mean, it's basically they're doing physical training before and after the game in this gym.
They're the healthiest
It's a
team
wellness
in the
center.
nation.
But anyway, that elevator with players from Fairleigh Dickinson,
Yes.
the elevator broke down and they were stuck for about 25 to 30 minutes.
Oh, no.
So the game was delayed. I'm giving the wellness center itself dishonorable mention.
You think they came out, though, hotter than hot. You know, they came out in the first 17 shots.
It still floors me that you're playing at the rec center and can't get a gym on the first floor.
For sure.
Well, it was a low-scoring game, and then in the second half, it became a high-scoring game. Went to overtime. Fairleigh Dickinson did make a big second-half adjustment. That was at halftime, take the stairs.
Right.
We ain't going anywhere, man.
Smart call.
My last dishonorable mention here will go to Tobias Johansson. He is he races bicycles.
Oh, boy.
And he's actually pretty good. He just won the Tour it's a Tour of the Future in French, however you say it. And it's a race for those under 23 years old. It was the classic. He prematurely celebrated the win without actually crossing the fishing line. Finished, and somebody from behind with the wheels turning.
Yes.
Dead sprint beat him just in the nick of time before Mr. Johansson actually crossed the finish line and took second.
I love those. Is there video of that? I hope.
No, I saw pictures.
Oh, my
Who
God.
was it
I
at the
love
X Games? It was like 10 years ago. She prematurely celebrated, then she ended up crashing her motorcycle.
Yeah, dude, those are the best.
Yeah, and then she ended up, I remember there was a scene of her crying, and she was wearing makeup, and the makeup just streaming down her face, and it was just like, oh.
So, in other words, a Danica Patrick of the X Games.
Okay.
Yes.
I guess I don't know that reference, but
Danica being the crash magnet.
okay. I understand. I understand now. My Jabroni of the week is actually not sports related.
Oh.
It's going to go to John Cheeks from Washington, D.C. So John recently thought he won the Powerball. Checked his numbers on his winning ticket, checked him on the website. All were correct. He won a jackpot of $340 million. A few days later, he goes into a lottery store or lottery, headquarters, whatever, to go turn in his ticket to go get his jackpot. And they tell him, "I'm sorry, sir, your numbers don't match."
Uh-oh.
He's like, "What the hell?"
It was a fake.
And
It had to be a
he went
fake.
back to he took a picture of the website. Looked, it's right here. I won the lottery. So it turns out the company that runs the operations behind the scenes for the lottery there was doing like a quality assurance test on the website, so the numbers weren't correct. They were just doing a test, and he saw the test, and it happened to match his numbers.
Oh, no.
And for
Man.
3 days, he thought he won $340 million. So now he's suing.
You know what? He went out for 3 days and told everybody, screw you, man.
Yeah.
I won, baby. Take this job.
Told about 3 different bosses up yours.
This guy, he needs to sue. I'd sue too. He ain't going to get any money, but
Yeah, for emotional damages. He thought for 3 days that he was rich.
I was embarrassed.
All right, guys, I'm out of here. I'm heading to Manhattan High School for Manhattan Hoops, taking on Hayden.
All right.
These other 3 guys,
Jabronis.
Yeah, right.
dishonorable mentions. We'll be taking over for the rest of the show. Hour number 2 coming up next. Go Cats.